Last year, I sold my exotic cars, bought another 52 apartments, a private island, and invested a little bit over $1 million. And I'm very grateful for it. Last year was an excellent year of growth, but right now the market is shifting, so my strategy has changed. So let's dive a little bit deeper because everyone keeps saying we're in for a big one. Really? Now, this might not be the largest recession, but I do think it will be one of the sharpest. Cars went from selling for $40,000 above sticker to barely getting MSRP. The Fed completely blocked the real estate market with the way that they've raised interest rates. We've never seen anything like this before. And Americans have also started using their credit cards a whole lot more. That's something we see when the market starts to shift. On top of that, Bed Bath & Beyond has closed 93 stores on top of an additional 200 that they are projecting this year as they move into bankruptcy. Now I got some stats for you. Samsung, weakest earnings in 8 years. Redfin laid off 13% of its workforce. Meta, 13%. Venmo, 11%. Salesforce, 10%. DoorDash, 6%. Cisco, 6%. Spotify, 6%. Google, 6%. Microsoft, Amazon, you get it. We're not talking about 100 jobs here. I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of people who have families to feed, they need to put food on the table, who have been let go. So we're seeing a clear shift, but what does that mean? How can you take advantage of it? How is my strategy changing? Because it is radically flipped like it never has before in my life, and I'm moving my money around very differently. But like I always say, if you have a job, if you're an employee, you are susceptible to market changes like this. So I would personally feel a massive amount of anxiety if I was an employee. Now, there's different stress and anxiety that comes with running your own business, but at least if I fail, it's my choice. I'm not gonna get fired for a random reason. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you have some money set aside. Now, before we jump into this video, as always, I like to help somebody in each one. So I'm going to give away another $100. All you got to do to enter is like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. That's it. The winners get announced on my Instagram. So we got a lot to cover, and I promise you, if you stick till the end, this will be one of the most important videos you will watch all month because it's perfect timing. So take advantage. Last year, I sold about $300,000 worth of exotic cars right at pretty much the peak of the car market. I sold 2 properties, and I also bought another 52 apartments for roughly $4.1 million. I invested $950,000 of my own money into new real estate deals that I came across. Most of those were my own. Some of those were as a limited partner into real estate syndications. And I closed on a 400-acre private island that I partnered with a couple other investors where we're currently building out 40 tiny homes that are going to serve as short-term rentals. Now, aside from just the investments, I also hired more people last year than I ever have. And recently, I've been letting go a lot of people, mostly for poor performance, but also people who just weren't stellar. Right now, I want a perfect team that's trimmed down so our expenses aren't as high as they have been. Now, having a strong income is key, and here's what I've been doing. So I've been having artificial intelligence help me in my business, specifically writing emails, writing sales copy, scripts, getting ideas, and just general research. It's by no means running the business, but it is helping. And for an example, developing photos that are AI generated for my e-commerce companies. And this photo right here is not real. Right? Look closely. It looks real, but it's not. I was using another tool by OpenAI called DALL-E, where we spend $100,000 a year on content, sometimes a little more. I'd love to reduce that so that we have, again, slightly lower expenses. So that challenge I did brought in $6,000 in sales in just 1 week with $1,200 in profit. I mean, come on, how much would $1,200 a week in extra profit help you? And that could drastically make a difference. Now, I'll put a link below to my favorite newsletter that's based around artificial intelligence. I'm not getting paid to say this. However, they do send you a free guide when you put in their email on how to make money using AI tools for free. So it's a really great resource. Highly recommend you check that out because you're on the cutting edge of it. Now, before I share what I believe the market's going to do and how you can benefit from it massively, here's 5 things that I'm currently focusing on. Number 1, my income. We already talked about that. Number 2 is liquidity. Most of my money has been tied up in real estate and I have absolutely no plans on selling any of it. So what am I doing? I'm making a plan to start setting a little bit of cash aside to get some more liquidity because when there's opportunities, I want to take advantage. Number 3, that third point is opportunities to deploy cash. Where can I get an unfair advantage when certain asset classes pull back? That's definitely something I'm keeping my eye out for. Number 4 is no consumer debt. And while this one should be glaringly obvious, over 51% of Americans still have outstanding credit card debt. It's ridiculous. No student loans, no credit card debt, no auto loans. I don't want any of that stuff. The only debt I have is long-term fixed rate real estate, nothing short-term or that might screw me. And number 5 is home base. I mean, we could sit here and talk business, talk numbers all day long, but what about me? What about your personal life, right? What if your landlord decides to sell the property and kick you out? Or what if they raise your rent? What if there's a surprise pregnancy that you didn't see coming? Like, are you ready for these things? Like, those are the what ifs that you have to be asking yourself regularly. Now, everybody's talking about some crash and oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Look, there's a big difference between a crash and a correction, okay? A correction is defined as anything between 10 and 20%. A crash is anything above that 20. Many people are thinking there's a crash incoming, and they might not be wrong, but they're looking at the wrong data. For an example, real estate. estate. Yes, home prices are coming down quickly, but that's not a reflection against value. A lot of people, like in Arizona, in one of my markets that I buy in, people were pricing it ridiculously high, trying to hook some California buyer and reel them in. So it's not accurate when it comes down to a normal price that is of value. Secondly, they're saying foreclosures are up 1,800%. Well, duh, they've been blocked the last 2 years. So now that's finally getting going. They're still lower than pre-COVID levels. Yet the media is not going to tell you that. They're going to try to send you into a frenzy and a panic. And prices for a lot of things have come down. That doesn't necessarily reflect their value, but you might have paid more for something just based on supply and demand. For an example, I paid tens of thousands of dollars extra for a lot of guns and a lot of ammo that I probably didn't need over the last 2 years. I have a lot of that stuff, but I paid higher because there was supply and demand issues, and there's a slight shortage based on demand. So guess what? Prices, they go up. So 7 months ago is when it hit me. I was just finishing a real estate flip. It was the first and only property I'll ever flip, but I noticed a big shift in the real estate market. I also then quickly noticed a shift in the gun industry as well as the car industry, two relatively stable things. And I noticed things come down very, very sharply. And that like took me by surprise. I was like, wait a minute, a quick 2-year pop-up that was wild. Now things are clearly changing. So I took an honest look at my situation. I realized I've been lazy over the last 5 years, particularly with my social media stuff. It's always been a hobby, a very side thing. Sometimes I'll go a month without posting, right? And so for me, I turned around, studied a lot, bought a lot of courses, consulted with a lot of friends and different people in the industry. I paid a lot of money to do it. And then I went on a hiring spree. I started building a team. We would expand, contract, cut a few people, expand again, find the right team. And we've done that a few times, about 3 rubber band snaps. And we're not all the way there, probably about 70% of the way there with 6 people. I probably only need 5, so 1 will get let go. However, I've seen a literal 10x increase in numbers all across the board except revenue because we're not monetizing this stuff. However, that eventually will come towards monetizing through one of my companies in some way, right? Because if you give value, people eventually will reciprocate. It might take time, and that's fine. I don't need the money now, but I am trying to cultivate the audience and give as much value to as many people as possible. So I hope you enjoy these videos. And it's basically the same thing I've been doing for 5 years. It's just on a larger stage now. So we're scaling it, and instead of spending $0, it's costing about $15,000 a month. So there's some money being allocated there. I've also launched ads on multiple new platforms like Reddit and Bing, which I never previously have, for some of my non-outward facing companies. Those are the companies that people don't know I own. We just want to get more diversity in terms of the inbound leads. And that's something that's important to me. Just in case anything happens, I want to make sure we're a little bit diversified there with the income into each business. On top of that, I'm also looking to buy businesses and income streams. In fact, I recently almost purchased a B2B service-based business that's online for $1.3 million. You might say that's a lot of money. However, it was making $500,000 a year in free cash flow. So that would be a very good return. I'm definitely looking at opportunities where I can buy small companies from online entrepreneurs who are a little bit, burned out and they're looking for an exit or some cash. They just want to walk away and be able to buy these businesses for a 1 to 2x net multiple. That'd be a very good return, and I can just automate it. Now, here's how I'm breaking up my finances right now. $20,000 a month is going towards my new venture. That is a company that will eventually have a few different SaaS products underneath it. I'm spending whatever is needed on social media. Currently, that's about $10,000 to $15,000 a month. It was more. We trimmed it back. I'm putting 10% of the money I make into cash equivalents. I used to not do this, but I want to be able to lay my hand on a little bit more cash in case it's needed for an opportunity. I'm reducing my personal expenses even further. This one's actually pretty easy to do because number one, I'm working more anyways, so I'm not going out, and I don't like to spend a ton of money anyways because I'm kind of a cheap. And then my donations, these will not change no matter what. In fact, I'd like to increase this. I do a lot of like gift packs. It's basically a backpack with a bunch of stuff for homeless people and given to causes, mostly through GoFundMe and whatnot. But I like to do those just because that's something that's been important to me that I've done for years. So that will not change in terms of my expenses. Those might seem like minor tweaks, but they might make a big difference. And that's what I'm banking on. So I just want to position myself for an opportunity, and I highly recommend you should too. Here's 3 things I highly recommend that everybody watching this does. Number 1 is increase your income. Get a second source of income coming in, or more of the same. Work more hours or find a second side gig or a side hustle, whatever it is. Number 2, use that money and set aside more cash. When an opportunity presents itself, you're going to need money. It's not just going to slap you in the face. You're going to need money, and you're going to have to be able to take advantage of it. Number 3 is learn. The opportunity is not just going to find you. You have to be able to spot it. So you need to be an expert in an industry. So start studying. If you have to go through some courses, some books, do it. Actually put in the effort that most people don't. Remember the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Very simple, but a life-changing quote. Now, just to be straight up with you, what is all this market change going to mean for most people? Not much, man. It's not okay. The price of eggs are up a couple dollars. Okay, they got high cholesterol anyways. Probably good to take a slight break. Not a big deal. It's unlikely you're going to lose your job. It's unlikely you're going to lose your home or be evicted or something like that. It can happen, so be prepared, but it's very unlikely. So let's just Take a deep breath. Let's breathe in, think with a level head here. Okay, what can we do to protect ourselves? And then how can we position ourselves to take advantage? This is the time where the most amount of millionaires are created. If you want opportunity, it happens in a down market. So what you got to do right now is make sure to enter the giveaway for $100. Just like, subscribe, and comment, and make sure you tune back in for next week's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you later.